All right, let's take a look at the chart action for Cardano. All right, so this is my chart and this is what I've been looking at for the past couple days. Let's kind of delete everything and I can show you pretty much how we got here. So we'll delete the Fibonacci retracement. We'll delete this pattern right there. We'll delete this downtrend right there. We'll delete these right there. We'll delete all these. And we'll go through and show you exactly what we're looking at. We could even delete this one right here. But if you watch my channel, you can we've been talking about all this stuff. So here we got support right here, we got support right here, we got support right here, and basically a trend line going something like this. That's our uptrend that we'd been watching for a while now. We were waiting for a break to that to go kind of get bearish, or that's a signal that we're heading to the downside. In general, we've been watching this uptrend going like that. Right here, we got a double top, something like that. And that, I've been talking about that. I was kind of worried and kind of skeptical since this point right here. I was saying that we hadn't really gotten a higher high, but when we broke out right here, I put in an order at this breakout. When we broke this little pattern right here, I was assuming that we were heading up. And so I'm still holding this order right here. I had taken profits in this area right here, and then I kind of jumped back in right here, dollar cost average. But in general, I was still kind of skeptical. So what I was kind of waiting for is for us to break this level right here to put more back in, or for us to break down and start looking at Fibonacci levels. So that's basically what I did. I was also looking at support right here and support right here, and we could do a trend line something like that. And I was saying that we had either a channel pattern or a possible falling wedge, or a rising wedge, should I say. And we were either gonna, these are the two patterns that I was watching. So it looks like we broke this rising wedge to the downside, and then we also broke that channel going to the downside as well. So what we could do is pretty much delete these right here. I guess we don't need these anymore pretty much. What we could do, since we had a big trend, something like that, we can drag from the bottom of the trend to the top of the trend and do a Fibonacci retracement. So we'll get the Fibonacci tool, drag from the bottom to the top, something like that, and it gives us some levels to watch in these bounces, or to dollar cost average on the way down. So I took some profits up here. These will give me levels to watch. I took some profits up here. These will give me levels to watch on the downside to dollar cost average back in, and I've already hit my 50% level right there. I've had these limit orders set up for a while now. Like I said, I put in a market order up here, and I bought some right there, and I'm still holding on to that, but I also took a bunch of profits up here. So what I'm doing with these profits, and as I'm dollar cost averaging them back in on these levels down here. Right now, we're sitting with these levels I'm looking at are the 38% level, the 50% level, and the 61% level, and even the 23% level. I put in a dollar cost average there too. So basically, the first one is at 2.606, and that one already got filled, so we don't have to worry about that one. The 38% level is 2.30. That one got filled. But this one might be getting bounces. All of these might be getting bounces up and down. I'm not sure the volatility on these. We might be getting bounces up, and then we might be coming down. I'll talk about that in a second. The 50% level is sitting around 2.05, and the 61% level is sitting around 1.81, and the 78% level is sitting around 1.46. If we start breaking this level, then that's when we're gonna start kind of getting worried and looking for even lower lows. And I mean, we might even look for the bottom down here, which is sitting at around $1, something like that. I mean, if we start breaking this one, then we're gonna start getting a little more worried. Well, if we break this one, we're gonna get a little more worried, you know what I mean? So that's just the start of that. But if we think that this is just going to be a temporary bounce and head to the upside, these are the levels that I'm looking at. In general, I took profits up here. Now it's time to dollar cost average, in my opinion, back in. That's what I think. I like these Fibonacci retracement levels because it gives you levels to watch on the way down after you take profits, so that way you have levels to watch without really having to think about it, and they're kind of spread out throughout this downtrend. depending on how far it goes down. Usually we see bounces at the 38% level or the 50% level, sometimes the 61% level if it wants to dip pretty hard. So what I'm looking at on the 4-hour time frame is we have resistance right here and we have resistance right here, basically giving me this downtrend, something like this. I'm looking at that downtrend right there. Until we break that downtrend going to the upside, then I'm going to be assuming that we're trending down, or we have this trend line to break anyways and we're going to have resistance. The other thing we could do is if we go into the 1-hour time frame, you could see that we have a bigger downtrend, something right here, resistance right here, and resistance right here. So we're looking at a downtrend, something like this. This is on the 1-hour time frame, so this one might be breakable pretty soon. I mean, basically on the 1-hour time frame, we got this downtrend going something like this until we break that trend line going to the upside. I'm assuming we're in a downtrend right there. And if we break this one going even up, I think we could switch over the 4-hour time frame and we have this resistance line going something like that until we break this trend line going to the upside. I'm still assuming that we might be getting resistance and or trending to the downside until we break it going to the upside. If we jump over the total crypto market cap, we've been watching this uptrend going something like this. I've been saying that until we break this uptrend going to the downside, that we don't really have to worry about it, and we broke that trend line going to the downside, guys. We've kind of dipped below it right here, and then we kind of jumped back up above it, but we didn't get this big red candle like we had. I mean, like there wasn't a big red candle right here like there is right here. So what I'm kind of thinking, and I made a video about this earlier, are we going to close this daily candle below this trend line right here, or are we going to bounce back up and stay above it? The other thing is, so even if we do close above it, let's say we close above it, it's possible tomorrow we get a green candle and we just head right back up and start trending up on this trend line again. I think tomorrow, okay, well, so today will be a first signal. Are we going to close below this? If we could break back above it, then that's already a good sign. But if we stay below it, that's kind of not the greatest sign. But then tomorrow we're going to want to see if we get another red candle and where we close on that, if it's going to be red or if it's going to be green. If we get a green candle, maybe going to the upside, and maybe we can get back in this trend and start going back up and trying to hit our previous high up here. And if not hit it, maybe even break through it. I'm not quite sure yet. Right now, we broke that trend going to the downside, so we're going to want to keep an eye on that. In general, though, we did close below that trend line, so this is pretty bearish, and we're going to want to, I'm watching the daily time frame to see what this candle and tomorrow's candle does, to see if we're going to want to do a Fibonacci retracement just like we did with Cardano, something like this. We might be having to look at something like that. And as you can see, we already kind of dipped down right here to the 50% level, something like that. So we might be looking at 1.79 trillion for a bounce. If we bounce down, we might be looking at support right there, something like that possibly. We also got some support. We'll also be looking at previous support, something right here, maybe right here, right here. This would probably be the first one. Like I said, at 1.79 trillion, might want to keep an eye on that, depending if we keep on heading down. If we take a look at the Cardano to Ethereum chart, we had a rising wedge, something right here. We broke to the downside right there, and we were watching this downtrend right here pretty much, and we're still watching it. It looks like we're coming up really close to that. Like I've been talking about, as long as this is going down, this is good for Ethereum, and if we can get a spike to the upside, that'll be good for Cardano. Right now, looks like we're testing it right here, so let's keep an eye on that. I also been talking about how we're watching previous supports for maybe bounces. We got a little bit of bounce right here, but it looks like we broke that support going to the downside right there, and we're forming some sort of falling wedge, and we broke that going to the downside as well. So what I'd probably be looking at is this next level down here. You can see that we wicked down right here, and basically until we break this trend line going to the upside, something like this, I'm assuming that we're still in a downtrend and we might be coming up to this level down here. All right, so let's jump over to Cardano versus Bitcoin. So we had a rising wedge, something like this. We were waiting for a break to the upside or to the downside. We got a break to the downside, and what I'm looking at now is previous support levels, something like this, for a bounce. We got a little bit of support right here, and that looks somewhere around here, I guess. You can say that we wicked down. We wicked all the way down here. So basically, in general, what I'm watching is this downtrend, something like this. We had resistance right here, and it looks like we're even falling harder, something like that. So we have this trend line, something like that. That's one trend line that we're watching. If we go to the 1 hour time frame, we could do something similar that we did in the other chart, and that's draw a trend line something like this. Until we break this trend line on the 1 hour time frame going to the upside, then we're assuming that we're trending down. And also, even if we do break this one, we still have this other trend line right behind it to break that one as well, or get resistance on and keep heading down. We're going to have to wait and see on these ones. But in general, as long as this chart is heading down, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin over Cardano. The other thing about these charts though, if we could break these trend lines going to the upside, then we're going to be wanting to start watching Cardano. Alright, so if we go back to Cardano, like I said, I took some profits up here. I'm watching these Fibonacci retracement levels now. 38% level is at 2.30, 50% level is at 2.05, 61% level is at 1.81, and the 78% level is at 1.46. Let's see how many we can hit if we could get a bounce on any of these. We already hit the 38% level and we already hit the 50% level. Let's see where we can go from there. In general, we'll be watching this downtrend as well. Let's see if we could break this downtrend going to the upside. Alright, if you guys like that video, hit that thumbs up button.